Okay. Hello,
Hello.
hello, Magdalena. Um, Last time we weren't able to do, we spoke about perhaps taking a look at the Akashic records and ask them about true love. We never did, but we spoke before about maybe doing it this time around as a guide for this talk as well.
Mm, I think this is a great idea, Jonas. We can do it.
Yeah.
So shall we just start with a message from the Akashic Records? All right. So what I can do is I can connect with the leader of the Akashic Records. His name is Yang Wang Ye. In other spiritual traditions, he might have another name, but this is the one that I'm deeply connected with. Also because I have received a very unique training as a direct soul communicator and a certification. And at the end of the training, we receive authorization to connect with the Akashic Records and Yang Wang Ye and to ask questions. So I will do this. I will simply connect with him now and ask him for guidance for our second episode mainly and what we should focus on today. All right? Okay, so you and all the viewers can just close the eyes and actually put your focus in the lower abdomen and try to picture there a golden light ball which can help us to open up because everyone can receive messages from the soul world, including from the Akashic records when we connect. And you might also see images or have a certain feeling when this message is delivered because everyone is a channel and everyone has different responses. I will give a direct message, which is called a direct flow from Yang Wang Ye. And just take a silent moment to connect with him. And Yang Wang Ye will now speak through me directly to all of us. How? Here is Yang Wang Ye speaking through the spiritual channels of Magdalena. My dear ones, I am delighted to offer you some guidance for this episode as well as for your series. This is indeed a very important topic for humanity, and there is a lot of wisdom as well as tools and practices that heaven wants to deliver throughout this process of your podcast. There are some important key teachings that should be touched upon in these episodes. And you have already started to mention and speak about some important keys for the true love path. And in this episode today, it will be good to reconnect with the first points as well as to explain deeper the second important point on the true love path, which is to open the heart and to purify the heart. And therefore, it will be important to do or guide the people in a self healing practice so that they can experience how they can actually clear the blockages from their past, how they can purify the heart to open them further. For this is one of the few major steps on the true love path, to purify the heart and to open the heart to love, to receive and give love. For today, it will be also important to just stay in the flow and explain deeper what appears in the moment important to you and dare to share from your own experience because both of you have made very deep and profound experiences on your true love journey, and many people will be able to connect and relate to this. This is my message for you on this day. I am wishing you great success and I am honored to serve more. Hao Yang Wang Ye. How? So,
Yeah.
how did this feel to you, Jonas?
Yeah, it felt good. It was both the I don't remember what the first point was though. What was that?
I think when we spoke last time, we mentioned that one of the key points for the Tool of Journey is the self-love, as well as integrity and authenticity. And that for humanity, it's important to clear these blocks. And we were speaking about some major collective wounds like guilt and shame, and there are of course others. Attachments. I think we also touched upon attachments. So the most important point is, I believe, self-love and authenticity and integrity.
Yeah, and it was also about sharing perhaps our own experiences too, in on the path, and also mentioning practices. So we did a practice last time, and we spoke about it before to do it this time too, to have maybe we could start off even now with some form of practice.
Yeah, that's yeah, we can do that. And do you want to share something, or shall I share from my?
No, do share
I,
if you have something.
I
Yeah.
do. Yes, of course. So the practices that we apply in the Tao Academy and that I am familiar with for about 15 years now and have been doing every day are always soul practices. So that means that we invoke the power of soul and connect with higher souls out in the universe to receive support in our own self practice, and that we also work on all levels, and we actually start on the soul level first. So we apply tools that can transform the negative information that we might carry on the soul, like maybe negative information from other lifetimes, emotions, um, negative memories, and we start clearing those so that we can also clear the energy and even remove maybe physical disease or discomfort, because some of the relationship issues, or like we spoke last time, the guilt and shame, they can actually even impact our physical well-being. So I would love to do like a self-clearing practice where we focus on clearing the heart, because the heart is actually the one that stores negative information like guilt and shame. Also, anxiety, as well as lack of self-love, that also has to do with the heart. So when we start clearing these blocks, we might actually feel more self-love suddenly because the blocks are gone. And one way to practice is always to sit up straight without leaning, because the energy will flow throughout entire body. Our mind might not be aware where we have blockages. They could be everywhere in the body. But when we sit up straight, our body is like an antenna, and the energy that we will be absorbing from this field, from the source that we will connect with, can actually flow into our bodies through our central, what we call central meridian or central pathway, and spread all over the body. And what we also do is we apply hand positions, because hand positions are part of the body power. And where we put our hands, this is where the healing and the energy flows. And two areas in the body where we can always put our hands that are crucial is, for instance, our lower abdomen, because this is our foundational energy center. And now we are focusing on clearing the heart. So it would be good to place simply one palm on the heart area. And it doesn't matter which palm it is, there is no preference. We can also switch hands in the practice. And then we use, so how we sit and where we put the hands, this is called body power. And then we will apply mind power. This is simply creative visualization. We visualize light in the area where we need healing. And for now, we decided to purify the heart. So we can picture a golden light ball spinning in our heart area. This is going to be our mind power. And for mind power, it's also known where we put our focus. This is where the energy and the healing goes. And as we are streaming this recording on New Moon Day, we are recording earlier now, but it will be published on New Moon Day, and the moon is a very powerful source for healing and transformation. It's a very huge soul that has impact on the human bodies, on the waters, on Earth, and we are made of water. And when we want to heal, it's very good to purify our waters, and the moon can give us some support. So we're going to connect with the moon through the soul power, and this is how we do it. You can just repeat in your heart or out loud. For example, dear soul, heart, mind, and body of the moon, I love you, I honor you, and I deeply appreciate you. Could you please come now to my heart center and bless my heart, purify my heart, heal and transform the negative information related to guilt, shame, lack of self-love, as well as lack of integrity and authenticity. Please bless me as it is appropriate and in heaven's will. Thank you. So now we have invoked the moon power to receive a blessing. We have invited the soul to be inside of us, to bless us, and we can chant a mantra. Mantra is sound power, and sound power carries a high frequency and vibration, and sound power can change the frequency and vibration of our cells, of our DNA, RNA, the tiniest spaces within the cells, the energy, and more. And one mantra we could simply chant now, because we connected with the moon, is Moonlight heals me, thank you. Just a sentence. We don't have to sing it. We can just speak it out loud or in our heart. I will speak out loud for a moment. Simply continue to focus on the light in the heart and continue to open to receive the healing from the moon. Moonlight heals me, thank you. 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 Moonlight purifies my heart, 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 thank you. We can also chant silently for a moment. The silent chanting helps to stimulate the tiniest cells. And we breathe naturally and We picture when we inhale every time that a lot of light is entering our heart area, and this is very bright light. It could look crystal or golden or bluish. And when we exhale rainbow colored light. And this is also when we release the blockages from our heart. We can also sing a song. We could simply sing Moonlight. I like to do this sometimes for those who walk around chanting. There's a simple melody. For example, moonlight, 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 moonlight. It's a very joyful melody, and in that way we absorb more of the moonlight. And we can consciously really release, think of something where we maybe feel ashamed of or guilty for. Maybe we have done something that we remember, that we are aware of. Maybe we have said something to someone or done something that really hurt someone. So we can silently in our heart say, please forgive me. I forgive you. You forgive me. We are one in love, peace, and harmony. You can say it again. I forgive you. You forgive me. We are one in love, peace, and harmony. Forgiveness helps us to release more blockages. And what we can also do is forgive ourselves. This is very powerful. We can simply say, I unconditionally forgive myself all the mistakes that I have ever made in my thoughts, words, and actions, all the harm that I have caused to others. And I unconditionally release all the guilt and shame attached to it. I let go of the past. I have learned from my decisions and my actions and behaviors, and I can do better now. I unconditionally forgive myself, and I release all guilt and shame. And we can continue to absorb the moonlight. Maybe we feel some warmth or expansion. Sometimes we feel actually cold when blockages are released. Moonlight heals me, thank you. Moonlight purifies my heart. Moonlight transforms guilt and shame. Moonlight boosts my self-love. Moonlight increase my integrity. Moonlight boosts my authenticity. Moonlight nourish my connection with my own soul. And then we can take a deep breath into our lower abdomen. We really inhale fully, really deeply, and then we exhale completely. And we just take notice of how we feel. This was a very short practice. And this is something we can, of course, expand to much longer at a time. And we always close the practice by saying thank you. So we say thank you to the moon. Thank you to Mother Earth and all the souls that are supporting us. And also thank you to our own soul And we can say goodbye to the moon. There's a formula which is simply in Mandarin, and it is gong song, which means respectfully return. So we send the soul back that we have been working with. We say thank you, thank you, thank you, love you, love you, love you, gong song, gong song, gong song. So this was a little practice that we can do, and of course do much longer and repeat more often when we need it. How was this for you, Jonas?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I didn't feel like it was a short practice. It felt like quite a while for me, but in a good way. And I like the idea of including using, like you said, the power of vision and seeing. I also come to think about how effectful it is to use your imagination for different things and just seeing it, really seeing it from, and it impacts you in in a great way. And this did to seeing the moon and or at least sensing it um, while doing those practices. Keeping your hands, having your hands in your body, which is something I've done a lot too. Just keeping my hands on my heart and stomach area, and even holding myself, holding myself. Also got to think about just how, because I've done a lot of trauma work and the trauma exercises, and it's interesting to see how they often kind of intersect with what is sort of spiritual practices. They often intersect, at least the trauma taught by Peter Levine and those trauma exercises. Those are often similar, and even I got to think about he called it the woo exercise, when you do like a sound, like you do woo, which is of course very similar to a lot of the songs that they sing in Buddhist chanting. It's the same tonality or tone they use, which is in that way spiritual, but it's also healing in a very palpable way, or used by actual trauma experts.
Yes, I deeply believe in the sound healing. I have experienced it myself in very profound ways, and I do believe that this is one of the most powerful tools in the world. And of course, it depends on the sound and the source where it comes from. And there are some universal healing sounds, like you mentioned, like the woo, for instance. Also, ah, we all know ah stimulates the heart area, and but there's also the sound of the soul, which is a soul song, which is when we are able to open up that channel. Of course, it really can accelerate the self healing process in a very profound way, because the own soul song is like when the channel opens up, what happens in that moment is that we are connecting with the soul world, and we are absorbing the soul light. And this is like an inner massage, literally, because the sound starts to vibrate and stimulate the cells. So the cells might move faster. And then when they do that, they absorb the light, but they also release the blockages, the toxins, the negative information, because negative information can be stored in cells, what we of course know, because cancer grows because there is negative information. So when we do the sound healing with our own sound, with the sound of our own soul, the frequency and vibration of our soul song is much higher than the frequency and vibration of human words. And it's the fastest way. And applying this for trauma, I found it so beneficial, because in trauma, everything is involved: the physical body, could have a lot of tension. I have met people who had gone through a trauma and they were like almost stiff. Their muscles were still holding these experiences from the past, the shock and whatever. So the physical body needs healing. And of course, we know the emotional body needs healing in trauma, and the mental body and the soul, the negative information in the soul level. So the soul song, or when it's higher evolved, we call it Tao song, can cover or can touch every aspect of the human being in one healing exercise. So thank you for sharing. I have been really applying a lot of sound healing and soul song healing for healing trauma when I work with people, and I truly found it's extremely, extremely beneficial.
How does that work in practice with the soul song?
You mean when I work with the clients, or if you want to bring it when I? Yeah. So when I am working with people who do not have their soul song out yet, I help them to open up this channel, and it can be in an individual one-on-one session. I do work with many people who actually have the channel already open, who have maybe previously joined a retreat where I was teaching this, or they have learned it with another teacher who does this. And then I actually, it's more a little bit like I'm using my spiritual channels to find out what the blockages actually are, so that we can address them consciously, like we did today in the invocation. We focused on releasing the guilt and the shame. So maybe when I have done for the client the spiritual reading, I know maybe what trauma still there is, what negative information there is, and I will gently guide the person in the meditation to remember it, or to become aware of it, so that it can be brought up to the surface from the subconsciousness. And then we chant together, then the person can, we do this invocation, we meditate together upon the issue, and then we chant together. And I also offer healing with some other tools that I can invoke. And I give people the homework to practice with this. That could be things that are solved in one session, where people had a very deep openings and release with the methods I apply. But sometimes they need just a little bit more time, and they need more rounds. They go on a walk, and I tell them, when you go to the forest, chant your soul song, connect again with this issue that you want to transform, make the invocation and chant, and see how you feel afterwards. And for some people, it's really a journey, because they have such deep stored trauma and suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder for years. So it takes a little bit longer. But doing this, I found I have great success and great results. And I'm always very pleased when people can heal and notice the change, and they don't have to rely on medicine or things like that. That they can really apply their own inner powers to self heal, because we are born with this. We are all born with this. We are designed to heal, and we are designed to be balanced. And the sound power that is the soul song that is given to us, it's really like an inner whole body massage. When you really sing soul song for 10 or 15 minutes straight, really out loud, you might experience that your whole body is vibrating, or you might be even sweating like after a real heavy workout. It's very deep.
Yeah, because I remember when we spoke the first time, we spoke about soul song, and I decided to try it out, and I think the biggest hurdle, I guess, is to to just do it, basically, to
Yes.
believe that you can do it. And because I imagine a lot of people may think that they can't sing, like me, but and soul song must be something even greater than normal singing, uh, but in reality, right, it's just your own. sound, the sounds that your souls do through you, or the sounds that the soul does. It's not a quote, um, you know, a great song, a pop song, or something like that. It might be for some.
It yes, it might be. It really depends on how much the channels is open. And I have met people who couldn't sing at all, but when they opened up the channel, they sounded like an opera singer, which completely blew my mind away. On the other hand, I have been present on a retreat where my teacher actually taught professional opera singers to sing their soul song, and it didn't sound so good at all. But the thing is this, it's not really about how we, with our mind, judge, evaluate the sound. It is more about feeling it because it carries higher frequencies and vibrations as well, positive information from our soul. And it's more about not judging it how it sounds, it's more about feeling and experiencing it and allowing it to flow. Because what it actually really is, I know we spoke about it in the first episode, that when we are created, the source sends an aspect of the source to us, which is called Yuan Shen. And then there's our own soul, the one that reincarnates again and again, is on the soul journey. And this divine aspect of the source within, this is this is what sings when we open the soul song channel. The source, we can hear the source singing through us, of course, together with our soul. That's why it gets also a unique touch. Everybody sounds different, but it is actually very pure. So no matter how it sounds, it's actually much purer than most of the songs in the world. And it is powerful. Even if we sing very silent, when we don't really fully open the mouth, the power is still there. So, you know, I want to tell you that you are very brave that you took on the journey on your own. You said, yeah, I'm going to practice and I'm going to try it out, because it's actually much easier to open it up in the group because of the group field. And in the workshops that I've been giving, even when it was like on an expo, a half-hour presentation, I have really the quote of bringing out like 95% of the people open their channel then in one session. It's really much more powerful, and this is how the hundreds of people that I've been guiding in the last years have brought out the soul song channel, open up the soul song channel. It was in a group context because it's simply easier. But I do have who did it in individual sessions or even on their own, just reading the books. But generally speaking, it's easier. So I highly recommend this.
Yeah.
Later this year, I will be doing this again. So
You will be teaching soul song, or what?
yes, I will be
Yeah.
teaching Soul Song. Definitely, I'm actually going to teach it in March. So
Okay.
I'm planning. I will keep you updated. But
Mhm.
it's really much easier to do it with others. And then
Yeah.
it's out, and then you will be amazed because it has so
Yeah.
many ways to apply it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can imagine. I'm just, I think I'm built a bit built like that. I'm used to doing a lot of practices by myself, and have challenged myself in many ways. So I just thought that I could do it. So I think that's a big thing, to just start doing it and making sounds, or having that meditation for it, or but it's probably hard for, I imagine, for most people to do it by themselves. I remember when I did it at first, I was also unsure. Is this the soul song? So I sent you a clip of it, like the first or second time I did it, or something like that. uh,
Yes, and I think I said it's almost open, right? I think I heard it coming out, and I don't remember anymore, but I think it's on the way. You were
Yeah,
actually pretty good. It was already opening up.
I think it was. Yeah, I think so. It was. I think you said. Yeah, so that was. I think how it felt. Also, it was coming around or opening up, and then I did it every day for some weeks,
Wow.
and for yeah quite a few weeks. I think I just sat down and did it for yeah 10-15 minutes or something like that. And I remember.
Amazing.
So and it got quote better and better or stronger or and it and what I like about it is what I think is in a lot of again spirituality. There's the cloud of unknowing in in Christianity, and there's the great void and the absolute and something unknown basically. And the soul song for you is, at least to me, was unknown to me until it happened. And even the songs that came out, I was it was sort of easy for me because I've done similar things, I guess, not soul song, but being okay with waiting and just letting my intuition guide me. But it was really interesting to see what came out, because it was also always it's a surprise, and sometimes the same sort of melodies came, and sometimes they changed over time too. And but it was never me who did anything of it. It was just a song coming out, and that was really interesting to record it and listen to it. And I did it a few times, but yeah, just to see wondering what comes up. And every time I sat down, I felt, I don't know if I can do it because I don't feel like I'm doing anything. So I can't like force it, or which is also again the same thing with many I guess spiritual abilities. You have to trust that it comes, or if it guides. You can't force anything in a way. You have to, either it comes for you or it doesn't.
Exactly. I think that that you say that you haven't done anything. This is actually a very clear indicator that it was so song, because when people try to sing, or sometimes they imitate other soul songs they know, this is not their soul song. This is, they sing another soul song, another person's soul song. They imitate their sound, but this is not their own soul song. So when it really comes out without you doing anything, this is a very clear sign that it is actually the soul song. And but for the spiritual practices, like it with everything, it's about practicing. We have to do it, and you did. You sat down and did it. And I think this is something very important, that we have to probably, as a modern civilization, relearn to invest our daily time in spiritual practices. When we want a spiritual development, when we want, for instance, to bring out a soul song, or we want to do other things, have a very advanced third eye, there are steps that can nourish us in the process, that can accelerate the process. Because my experience is, when we just sit and do nothing, yes, things could happen, we could open, but it's part of our job to do something, and the question is what we're doing. And yeah, this was for me very crucial. I had times where I practiced meditation every single day on my own. I couldn't leave the house when I haven't done the meditation. It was just such a deep need and desire. And then when I began to study more yoga and actually teach yoga, I was doing a lot of yoga practices, but then my meditation time dropped, because I was more focused on that. And then I had to go back to my meditation because I started really missing it. Now I have a different approach, different styles of practices. I actually really focus mainly on the soul work, the sound healing, the calligraphy art. But the key was, for me, for many years, that I want to do something. And the reason why I want to do it, because I feel more aligned and more connected and more peaceful and more happy. And this was the meditation behind it. And then whatever happens, it's okay. I did never expect that I would see um, past lives images or things from the Akashic record back then when I started doing my practices. It just happened. And on the true love path, it is like that the spiritual practice that we can do on our spiritual journey can actually benefit us as well as our soulmate. It comes to a point where we actually realize that we are really one, and what benefits us impacts the other. So there is a great joy in it, doing it, because we know that two people benefit from it. So I have a lot of soul practices for the true love path also, where we do different things with the soul.
Yes, it's like you said, on the path, that is my experience, at least, from being built in a way that I am very disciplined with. I did Zen meditation, also, every day. I never missed a day unless I had like a severe flu for a decade at least. And I went to retreats once or twice a year and did those, 10-hour meditations each day, and did, meditation beyond that even, when we had free time. And I like really pushed myself in a lot of ways. And what I and I think there's really a place for that, depending on where you are on your journey, to actually do push yourself and keep and have a steady practice and have a steady meditation practice. And also just for myself, even experientially, or my own experiences, or my intuition, and what I've seen for myself, is how important it is to train your attention to be present in the present moment, basically. We aren't like that. We aren't built like that, or we don't have a society that enforces it. So there's a reason why almost every religion and spiritual tradition speaks about some form of meditation. It's not a coincidence. So doing that is for most people very beneficial. But for me, over time, when I kind of what I would call woke up and or found self-love, or became who I am in a way, those things in terms of pushing myself fell away. So everything became, that's just also the same with doing things or not doing it. In Zen, they often speak about the epitome, or the goal is sort of, or way doing not doing in Taoism, or effortless effort in Zen Buddhism. So there's not that we're not doing anything, it's just that it's spontaneous in a way. And it could be spontaneously meditating 10 hours a day year round for some monks. It could be singing your soul song every day, but it could also be just living your life in flow, doing your daily chores and what have you. And for me, it has become more like that. So I often don't think about, when I think about what I'm doing in terms of practices, I tend to think that I'm not doing anything. But when I look in my diary, I see that I do things all the time, just like doing a cacao ceremony at night, and listening to some music, and maybe meditating a bit. It's just that it's just flowing for me. It's not an effort. It's not a practice that I plan to do. It just comes naturally for me, instead of me having an idea about what I'm to do and then forcing myself to do it whether I like it or not.
Yes, that's beautiful. You are so experienced, and I believe that it's really actually it should that this is the beauty of it, when it becomes very natural, when it's a natural part of our existence. And I think that this is who we actually truly are. We are spiritual beings that have the desire. We are here in the material world, and we have our life tasks and our duties. But I believe that many of us really sense the desire of connecting with our soul and having maybe a quiet moment, or or having a moving moment where we really have to shake off some energies. It can be very different. It depends on the day. And one of the most important teachings in the Tao is to follow nature's way. So, like you also said, just flow. And I think that what got lost on the path for humanity is that we naturally meditate, is that we realize we can heal naturally. When we have something, a disease, one of the most important things is to rest, right? And when we rest, then a lot of things just happen within our body completely by itself, with, like you said, no effort. There's no effort needed. Yes, we can enhance the process when we know spiritual tools, when we are aware, for instance, oh, when I have let's say I have fever, I have obviously coughing and fever, then according to the traditional Chinese medicine, which is based on Tao wisdom, it's too much fire in my body. So what I could, for instance, do then is to connect with the moon and ask the moon to increase my water, because the fire can be cooled down by the water. So I can meditate with the moon with the request to lower my fever. And it can work very well. I've done this many times. This is a healing I apply for myself since 15 years. And when we have this wisdom, we can apply it. But I believe, like what you said, that it's actually natural and effortless, and it's actually part of our being, and it's part of our daily life. And right now, because you were speaking about this awakening process that we all go through, I feel that humanity is more and more awakening to this truth that this is what we need to do, that this is part of our self that has been neglected and not paid attention to. Like, for instance, children at school, they are asked to focus or do this and that, but sometimes they just need a moment for themselves. Sometimes they just need to go out and sit by a tree, and this is how they get balanced. So I think that all of this wisdom is coming back, as well as the wisdom that on the true love path, it's very often like the more masculine energies, let's say divine masculine, is very much focused on the material world, of course, providing, creating safety. Let's say in the modern world, going out to work several hours a day, doing tasks, but also in order to be able to provide for the family and have this setting, the home, and what is needed, right? And naturally, the divine feminine is the one that is holding the spirituality within the family. And there's definitely something happening in the world, because in many traditions, it has been actually a lot of men sitting, a lot of male monks sitting in the mountains and chanting, and the women were not included. So there's a lot of, let's say, things are upside down. And I noticed that there is a greater balancing. Yes, there are the men who are going out and are active in the material world and doing their duties, but they also like to practice and to meditate. And they discovered this, that gives them more balance, and that they are more productive or have more strength to actually deal with such long days like people are now dealing with. And I also see that more and more women realize their responsibility to, for instance, educate the children, do with them what is called a meditation, or maybe help them to, to connect with the spiritual realm before they fall asleep, tell stories about angels and so on. So I think that it's a time where all of this is coming back, where we will be more balanced, and where we will be living more spiritual lives individually, but also in union with our partners, as well as in the big family setting. And I'm really deeply looking forward to this. And I want to be someone who creates this, who is the one who lives this, and actively with people I know. So I think it's on the way. let's say, that we return back to this natural flow.
There seems to be some, I remember teachers, one teacher that I listened to a lot over the years called Adyashanti, sort of a non-dual teacher. He and also another guy called Jeffrey Martin that has actually done some research. They say that there are, or Adyashanti just says that is within his experience from being a teacher in 30 years or something, that he just sees more statistically people waking up, or and Jeffrey Martin said it as well, that there seems to be that trend that they see too. And we also see of course that spiritual, like I guess most types of information, but I remember reading or trying to find spiritual things 20 years ago, and there weren't that many. Now there are meditation centers all over Stockholm where I live. There weren't that many when I started, and you just see that's maybe it's more of everything, I don't know, but it's there's definitely a plethora of spiritual. I mean, there's everything. Even the secret teachings are online now.
Yes.
There's more than you can handle, basically. It's more how to edit things out and to find your own, because there's so much.
Yes,
But more, it seems like people are also, yeah, that is my impression too.
that's true, and it really has to do with the global cosmic plan that the Solarite era began on August 8, 2003. This is now 20 years, and this was a huge soul light activation. What it means that many really then took a certain path, a certain direction, and aligned more with the soul. And when you googled 30 years something about soul, you wouldn't, I don't know, Google 30 years, not 20 years. This is when I was googling. There was not much that was coming up back then, and the term was not everywhere yet. And now the soul and soul light is more and more popular. And but what happens really globally is certain light activation. So, like on certain days throughout the year, the universe is sending so much cosmic light to us, and that really touches us, especially those who are open and who are already consciously looking for something. When we are opening the heart is one of the keys. Then we can absorb this light, and that we begin to trust more our intuition, we begin to trust more our inner voice, and we feel more that we are kind of guided in a certain direction. Because you also said, like right now, it's sometimes so overwhelming because there are so many choices. I know that I have experienced that. I found I was a little bit overwhelmed in Berlin because it is a big market. But when we have this light activations, we begin to connect more with our soul, and we connect also with our heavens team, and then we are clearly guided on that path, which is to help us to be empowered to shine our light more and more. And this is what it is about. And the focus is, of course, to bring more love and peace and harmony to planet world. This is, I think, the global task for all spiritual seekers and leaders and people out there who are on this journey, including those who are on the true love journey. It is really about bringing love and peace and harmony to planet Earth, to have it within ourselves and to experience it in our communities and beyond. That's the path.
Yes, that's also seemed to be. I think it was Thich Nhat Hanh who said the next Buddha is a sangha. That coming together in a way. I'm not sure exactly I haven't looked into that as much, but it seems like people are looking into, I guess, some eco villages and having more of authentic communities and things like that. At least in some places of the world. I don't know if have you seen
Yes,
that.
yes, this is a vision that I have for many, many years to create something like this. And I mean, I really want to create a beautiful healing center here up in the north. But I have met people who lived like this already. I have actually also met people who lived in Auroville, in India, in the south of India. This was one of the very first projects. I don't know how old it is. I did quite a bit research about the project in northern Scandinavia, where they also do their own agriculture. And how is it called? I did read a lot about this one. So I found them very inspiring because they started to plant food in an area where everybody was saying it's never going to work. But of course, they were guided. Especially one of the leaders was a very spiritual woman. Is a spiritual woman, is a medium, and she was always receiving the inspirations through her spiritual channels. And she said, "No, we have to plant this, and should plant it here, and it will grow." And now they are feeding almost like a little village. So I think this is the future, and I love the idea of sangha, of community, because I think that this is a healthy model for humanity. That the individualism and the disconnection from the families and the disconnection from people is something that actually, in long term, causes harm to human beings. We need connection, we need exchange, and we are social beings. And the beauty of these communities that you have mentioned is that they have a purpose. They have a higher purpose. They try to create something beautiful. They try to serve one another and the land. And this is very beautiful to see. I'm looking forward to see more of this around the world. I haven't visited one myself, besides living in an Indian ashram, but I plan to do so when they start to show up. I know there's one in
Yeah,
south of Sweden. How is it called? I always forget the name, but I wanted to go there a long time ago. I will let you know. But I know that it's a trend. So
yeah,
our our um, our purpose is to serve, and we can actually serve better when we unite and when we complement one another with our gifts.
yeah.
So powerful.
Should we perhaps also end with a simple exercise? What do you think? Yeah,
Yes, that's a great idea. Hmm. I think one of the beautiful exercises is always to connect with our higher self, with our true self, our true soul. And there is also a soul power invocation. Like, for instance, when we want to heal something, let's say it's guilt or shame or anxiety or uh, could be a physical issue, whatever it is, we can invoke, we can do the soul power invocation, and um, the self healing process can start. It's very, very unique and powerful. And I think it's important for us, all of us, to really know how much self healing abilities, how much healing powers are within us, and to apply them more and more. So maybe we do this. So what we can do is we can again simply sit up straight. And now when we want to heal something, uh, it's always good to apply the hand positions. So maybe when we say we focus on the heart, we can place the hand again on the heart. But maybe we say, oh, I have some impatience or I have anger issues. This is very much related to the root element in traditional Chinese medicine. Then we can place our hand on our liver, or I have resentment or whatever. When I have lots of worries, I can put my hands on my spleen. Or when I have fear, I can put my hands on my kidneys. The organs are connected to major emotions. And in the trauma healing, I've been working a lot with people to help them to strengthen the organs that were involved in their development of the discomfort. So there are areas where we can place our hands or on the lungs. This is to healing grief and sadness. And then we can just close the eyes. I will place my hands on my kidneys to further heal fear, which is a very common issue. And then we connect with this area. We simply say hello to this area, to the soul of this place. And we do it with this following formula. And again, we're going to apply the mind power, which is creative visualization. And we picture a golden light ball in the area that we want to heal. Liver, heart, spleen, lungs, kidneys, or the brain, or a knee, whatever it is. And we say the following. So we visualize the golden light ball there, and then we say, dear soul, heart, mind, and body of, and then we address it, my kidneys. I love you, honor you, and deeply appreciate you. You have the power to heal yourself. Please heal all fear as well as stress and boost yourself now. Thank you. For many people, the kidneys are really overworking, and so are the adrenal glands, which are connected to the kidneys. And now we picture this golden light ball rotating, and we simply repeat the formula. Dear soul, heart, mind, and body of my kidneys, I love you, honor you, and appreciate you. You have the power to heal yourself. Do a good job. Thank you. I do it again, slower. Dear soul, heart, mind, and body of my kidneys, I love you, honor you, and deeply appreciate you. You have the power to heal yourself. Do a good job. Thank you. Dear soul, heart, mind, and body of my kidneys, I love you, honor you, and deeply appreciate you. You have the power to heal yourself. Do a good job. Thank you. Dear soul, heart, mind, and body of my kidneys, I love you, honor you, and deeply appreciate you. You have the power to heal yourself. Do a good job. Thank you. 2 more times. Dear soul, heart, mind, and body of my kidneys, I love you, honor you, and deeply appreciate you. You have the power to heal yourself. Do a good job. Thank you. Dear soul, heart, mind, and body of my kidneys, I love you, honor you, and deeply appreciate you. You have the power to heal yourself. Do a good job. Thank you. And now we do it 1 time silently. And then we can take a deep breath in our lower back area to our kidneys, to our adrenal glands. There's also the Kundalini energy center. This is all now filled with more love and light. And we end the practice simply by saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then we can gently open the eyes and just notice how we feel. How was this? This is called soul power, and we can apply it to heal anything. any part of the body, any condition, any mental issue, a relationship. We can heal finances with this. It's simply called soul power. How did you like it, Jonas?
I really enjoy practices, and it struck me that this how do you call it, this balance between intellectual or speaking or thinking about things and practicing is actually um, a good way to think about your whole life, like how this or maybe it would even be even more practice based, because in my experience, at least for my life, what has done the most for me have been doing actual exercises and not necessarily reading, even though I've done a ton of that, way too much than I actually needed, uh, reading, that is, or listening to things. But doing the actual practices, that is what, it's so rewarding. And having a steady practice, or doing even noticing just now the things that was I think most rewarding to me even now was doing the actual practices.
Thank you for sharing. I think this is so important what you say. And I think this is actually the key. And in the Tao teachings, it said a theory without practice is useless. And it also says it should be at least 50-50%. So 50% maybe studying and reading and absorbing new wisdom, and then 50% applying it. And that's what I love about my teacher, Dr. and Master Zhigang Sha, because when you read his books, he has actually guided practices within every single book. And he really says to the reader, stop reading. Don't rush over the practices. Just do the practice. Yes, it will take much longer than finishing the book, but that's the key. That's why I write this book. And I love this so much. And when we are trained as master teachers, we have received guidance how to hold our classes. And I went just out back then in Berlin. I was a yoga teacher, but in yoga, you don't teach so much in the classes. You maybe share a little bit in the pre-word something, and then it's a lot of practice, and people have to study the teachings by themselves. But when I started teaching soul healing, it was really like this. It was 2-hour evenings. And then the first hour, I was sharing the wisdom and why we're doing it and so on. And the last 1 hour was just practicing. And this is, I believe, what brought such a great success. That was so rewarding, because the people came coming back, and they were bringing their friends because they had very profound experiences. And I know you practice on their own, but there were people who never ever have done this before in their whole life. They never sat in a meditation or talked to a body part or to the soul, and they went out glowing and they were blown away from the power that they have experienced. And this taught me that really practice is the key, and that actually this is what makes the people happy. Yes, it's nice to hear some nice theories or what someone said or learned or discovered, but it's much nicer to do it yourself and maybe experience something beautiful yourself. So I love that. And I'm glad we have focused a little bit on practices today, because this is something that people can really repeat on their own. They can just take the formula and apply it for their needs. And I think we should continue to do this in the next episodes, when we will talk a little bit about theory and then focus on doing some powerful exercises together. And maybe you can share something too, and would be really curious to learn what you have been doing in your life journey.
Yeah, we'll see. I also came to think about if people listening, I guess it need to be YouTube, but if you have any certain topics regarding self-love, or path of love, path of the soul, or whatever we have been speaking about, you can always write in the comments if, and maybe we can bring that subject up in the coming episodes.
Yes, that's a good idea. because we have a lot
Yeah.
of things we can serve with, and maybe there are some specific requests that we can focus on. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's it for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jonas. It was a great pleasure, and I'm looking forward to our next episode. Thank you.